The universe is on the brink of collapse. Empires tremble, alliances shatter, and the line between light and shadow isn't just a metaphor, it's a battle. In this pivotal Season 3 scene of Foundation, day clashes with darkness, and everything the galaxy knows could be rewritten. What happens next will leave fans questioning who will survive, who will betray, and who will rise from the ashes of chaos. The galaxy has never been quieter or more dangerous. In the weeks leading up to this crucial moment, tensions have simmered across planets. Star systems and political factions, quietly building toward an explosive confrontation. At the heart of it all lies the Empire, once an unstoppable force, now riddled with cracks. Whispers of rebellion move faster than starships, and hidden agendas threaten to ignite conflicts that could consume billions, Hari Seldon's predictions. The backbone of the Foundation's intricate plan have guided humanity for decades. Yet even his visions cannot capture the full chaos that unfolds when ambition, fear, and desperation collide. The Foundation itself, born to preserve knowledge and steer humanity toward a brighter future, now faces a paradox. Every choice carries both hope and catastrophe. Within this delicate balance, the lines between day and darkness, light and shadow, have begun to blur. On the one side, day represents structure, authority, and the relentless pursuit of order. It is not merely a time of light, but a force embodied by characters driven by duty, loyalty, and the weight of expectations. The leaders aligned with day operate under the pressure of maintaining peace and protecting the fragile structures that hold society together. They navigate a galaxy in flux, balancing diplomacy with hard decisions that could, in a heartbeat, save or doom entire civilizations. Opposing them is darkness, not just as a concept, but as a tangible force, born of fear, rebellion, and unchecked ambition. Darkness thrives in secrecy, manipulates perception, and strikes where vulnerabilities lie. It is unpredictable, capable of toppling empires with a single decisive move. Its agents are cunning, patient, and willing to sacrifice anything to achieve their vision. Where day enforces rules, darkness bends them, more destroys them outright. The stage is set across multiple planets and locations, each carrying symbolic weight. On one world, towers of shimmering glass and steel reflect the rising sun, an image of day's structured power. On another, shadows stretch across ruined cityscapes, a reminder of the chaos darkness leaves in its wake. These contrasting backdrops are more than visual. They mirror the conflict within the hearts of the galaxy's key players. Characters are drawn along invisible lines, some toward light, others toward shadow, yet many are caught in between. Struggling to discern truth from manipulation, the political landscape complicates matters further. Factions that once held stable alliances now question loyalty, torn between ideology and survival. In corridors of power, whispered conversations dictate strategies that could decide the fate of entire star systems. Each decision carries moral weight, and the repercussions ripple outward, affecting millions who may never even see the faces of those who control their destinies. Within this framework, betrayal is never far away. Friends may become enemies overnight, and enemies may reveal themselves as unlikely allies in the chaos of the unfolding drama. Amid this tension, emotional stakes are just as high as the political ones. Key characters carry burdens shaped by personal loss, ambition, and unresolved conflicts. Their motivations intertwine, sometimes clashing, sometimes complementing each other, creating a complex web of intentions that drive the narrative forward. These individuals are not merely players in a galactic game, they are living embodiments of the principles day and darkness represent. Their actions, choices, and sacrifices will ultimately define who survives this confrontation and who is consumed by it. The technological landscape of this universe further intensifies the conflict. Starships capable of unimaginable speeds, weapons of catastrophic power, and surveillance systems that monitor the farthest reaches of space serve as tools and threats in equal measure. The mastery of technology is not limited to warfare. It also shapes strategy, intelligence, and the subtle manipulations that determine outcomes behind closed doors. In this context, every maneuver, every calculated move, carries life or death consequences. Even as these preparations unfold, the audience can sense the impending storm. The balance between light and dark is fragile, and the tension is almost palpable. Every visual detail, from the glint of sunlight on a ceremonial hall to the creeping shadows across a battlefield, reinforces the sense of looming crisis. Every whispered plan, every hesitant glance, and every subtle betrayal adds layers to the suspense, reminding viewers that in this galaxy, no one is safe, and no outcome is guaranteed. In this first section of the story, it is crucial to understand that the clash between day and darkness is not just physical light, it's philosophical, emotional, and symbolic. Day represents the ideals that civilizations cling to: order, hope, and continuity. Darkness embodies the unpredictable forces that test those ideals: fear, ambition, and chaos. The collision of these forces will drive the narrative forward, setting the stage for decisions that carry immense consequences. By framing the scene within this context, viewers gain a full appreciation of the stakes. The Empire teeters on a knife edge, alliances shift unpredictably, and key players are forced into difficult choices that test both morality and resolve. The audience is invited to witness not just a battle of power, but a battle of ideas, a struggle that echoes across space and time, highlighting the fragility and resilience of human civilization. As the tension builds toward the central scene, the galaxy holds its breath. Each character, each faction, and each decision contributes to the unfolding drama. This is the crucible in which day and darkness will collide, a moment where light and shadow, hope and despair, meet in a confrontation that will define the fate of countless worlds. The scene opens in silence, but it is the kind of silence that feels heavier than the loudest explosions. The camera, or the viewer's perspective, hovers over a vast planetary landscape, where the horizon is split between two extremes. On one side, the first light of a new day casts sharp rays across a city of gleaming towers, their glass surfaces reflecting hope, order, and human achievement. On the other side, shadows creep across barren ruins, broken architecture, and the charred remnants of places that once thrived, marking the domain of darkness. The contrast is stark. Light and shadow are not just around the world, they seem to seep into the very souls of those about to confront each other. As the scene begins, the main players emerge, one by one. From the brightness of day, key figures stride confidently into the open, their posture rigid, their faces set with determination. Their clothing, often symbolic, glows faintly in the early light, emphasizing their alignment with structure, law, and responsibility. Each step they take is measured, deliberate, almost ceremonial, as if aware that every move is being watched by not just allies, but enemies waiting for a moment of weakness. In contrast, darkness does not announce itself with the same boldness. It moves through shadows, slipping across alleys, tunnels, and abandoned corridors, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Characters aligned with darkness are fluid and unpredictable, their eyes scanning, calculating, and anticipating. Where day represents control and predictability, darkness thrives on uncertainty, improvisation, and subtle intimidation. There is a quiet menace in every movement, a constant reminder that power in this universe is not always earned, can be seized by those willing to exploit thee. Unseen, the environment itself amplifies the tension. Wind sweeps across crumbling plazas, stirring dust and debris that dance like specters between the two sides. Lights flicker, casting long shadows that twist and stretch unnaturally, making it impossible to know where someone truly stands. This interplay of illumination and darkness is more than aesthetic it reflects. The internal and external conflicts that define the scene. Every shadow could hide an ambush, every bright surface could conceal a trap, and the viewers are left anticipating, heart pounding, waiting for the moment when the inevitable clash will erupt. Dialogue is minimal at first, replaced by the sounds of subtle movement, the shifting of armor, the quiet hum of technology, and the distant echo of footsteps across stone and metal. When words are spoken, they are heavy with meaning, often layered with subtext and threat. A command here, a warning. Their reach line of dialogue carries weight far beyond the syllables themselves. The viewer begins to understand that in this world, silence can be as powerful as speech, and restraint can be as dangerous as aggression. The tension escalates as the two sides begin to converge. Day's forces march into open squares, forming ranks that convey strength and unity. The leaders of Day maintain eye contact with their subordinates, signaling confidence, control, and clarity of purpose. Yet even within these ranks, unease lingers. Some hesitate, sensing the unpredictability of what lies ahead. Fear and doubt, though unspoken, hover like invisible specters, ready to influence decisions in ways that could tip the balance. Meanwhile, darkness moves like water fluid, adaptable and unseen until it strikes. Agents slip through the edges of the battlefield, invisible to Day's structured formations. Their movements are calculated, yet spontaneous, a mix of cunning and instinct honed by survival in the shadows. Each step, each glance, each minor gesture could determine success or failure. Yet the viewer senses that the full scope of darkness is deliberately hidden. A chess player revealing pieces only when victory is within reach. The first visual clash arrives subtly. A flare of light, a sudden shadow, a technological disruption that signals the beginning of conflict. It is not yet an all-out battle, but the tension is tangible. The viewer feels the anticipation, the unspoken dread that something monumental is about to unfold. This is the moment when day and darkness no longer exist as abstract concepts. They take shape through the actions, decisions, and courage of the characters who embody them. Within this tension, the scene introduces key symbolic elements that will recur throughout the episode. Light refracts through glass towers, creating prisms of color that suggest hope, clarity, and the possibility of vision beyond chaos. Shadows distort and multiply, hinting at deception, hidden motives, and the fragility of perceived control. Even the music, subtle yet ominous, underscores the duality of the moment, guiding the audience's emotions while reinforcing the stakes without showing a single human face. As the scene continues to unfold, it becomes clear that this confrontation is not simply about who has more power or firepower. It is about the philosophy each side represents, the values and intentions that drive their decisions, and the inevitable collision between order and chaos. Every visual detail, sound cue, and character movement contributes to the growing sense of suspense. The audience is being invited to witness not just a battle, but a turning point that will echo across the galaxy, shaping the trajectory of the Foundation universe in ways that will become clear in the following scenes. By the end of this introductory sequence, viewers understand the scale, stakes, and symbolic weight of the scene. The tension is almost unbearable. Day stands ready, unwavering, while darkness lurks, patient and calculating. The stage is fully set, the players are in position, and the inevitable confrontation is just moments away. Every viewer is left anticipating the eruption of action, knowing that what comes next will define the balance between hope and despair, structure and chaos, survival and annihilation. In any conflict, understanding the players is just as important as witnessing the clash itself. This scene in Foundation is no exception. As day and darkness face each other across the fractured landscape of the galaxy, every character's choices, fears, and ambitions shape the unfolding drama. They are not mere observers. They are forces of nature in human form, each moving according to principles, loyalty, and personal survival. On the side of day, leaders and key figures embody responsibility and strategic thinking. They carry the weight of civilization's survival, aware that a single misstep could unravel everything. Their motivations are layered. Some act out of duty, believing in the order that sustains billions. Others are driven by personal honor, seeking to prove themselves as capable guardians of their people. Their internal conflict is subtle but powerful. They must balance morality with necessity, compassion with the cold calculus of leadership. For example, a commander might hesitate to strike, knowing the enemy could exploit mercy, yet understand that hesitation could cost countless lives. These micro-decisions, invisible to most observers, dictate the larger trajectory of the battle. Within this structured force, individual personalities clash with expectations. Younger officers, eager to demonstrate courage, may act impulsively, driven by a desire for recognition or validation. Veteran leaders, weighed down by experience, may hesitate, haunted by past mistakes. This interplay of youthful ambition and hard-earned caution creates tension within the ranks of day, demonstrating that even those on the side of order are not immune to human flaws. Every glance, every minor gesture, every spoken command reflects this complexity, turning what could be a simple confrontation into a layered psychological struggle. Darkness, on the other hand, operates through adaptability and subtle manipulation. Its agents are motivated less by collective duty and more by personal agendas, opportunism, or philosophical belief in the supremacy of chaos over order. They understand that fear is a weapon, uncertainty, a shield, and unpredictability an advantage. Every movement is calculated yet flexible, allowing them to exploit any weakness in day's ranks. Some are motivated by vengeance, others by ideological conviction, and some simply by survival in a galaxy that rewards cunning over morality. Unlike day, where hierarchy dictates action, darkness encourages individual initiative. Agents act according to the moment, creating an ever-shifting threat that keeps day's forces on edge. The tension between day and darkness is not merely external. It mirrors internal struggles within each character. Leaders on both sides wrestle with doubt, fear, and temptation. Will they betray their principles to achieve victory? Will ambition override loyalty? The scene highlights these dilemmas without the need for overt exposition. A hesitated step, a faltering glance, a subtle hand gesture conveys volumes about the psychological battlefield unfolding alongside the physical one. In this way, the audience understands that the conflict is as much about minds as it is about weapons or strategy. Relationships further complicate motivations. Allies may disagree on tactics, subordinates may challenge authority, and hidden connections between characters can influence choices in unpredictable ways. On Day's side, trust is tested, as commanders must rely on those who may not fully agree with their methods. Within darkness, suspicion simmers, as agents are aware that personal gain or ambition could undermine collective goals. These interpersonal dynamics are critical. They shape decisions in real time, creating ripple effects that influence the scene's outcome. The philosophical divide between the two sides also informs character behavior. Day's forces often act with calculated patience, believing that the preservation of civilization justifies restraint, negotiation, and measured action. Darkness prioritizes results over process, willing to exploit, deceive, or even sacrifice its own to achieve victory. This fundamental difference in approach not only drives the scene's narrative, tension, but also invites the audience to reflect on broader themes: the cost of order, the value of freedom, and the price of ambition. In the midst of all this, some characters occupy a gray area, neither fully aligned with day nor darkness. These individuals introduce uncertainty, serving as wildcards whose choices can dramatically shift the balance of power. Their motivations are often personal, shaped by survival instincts, moral dilemmas, or the desire for redemption. They may act with unexpected courage or sudden treachery, forcing both sides to adapt and respond. For the audience, these gray area characters add suspense, as their next move is impossible to predict, heightening engagement and anticipation. Emotion plays a crucial role in motivating actions. Fear, anger, hope, and desperation permeate the scene, guiding behavior in ways that are both subtle and profound. A leader on day might feel the weight of their people's expectations, driving cautious action. An agent of darkness may feel resentment or ambition, prompting a daring maneuver. These emotional undercurrents give depth to every decision, ensuring that the conflict feels human despite the grandeur of its galactic scale. The audience senses that the struggle is not only between forces but also within hearts and minds. Finally, the viewer is reminded that every action has consequences. The motivations of these characters, whether guided by duty, ambition, fear, or ideology, set the stage for irreversible events. Decisions made in this moment echo throughout the galaxy, influencing not just the immediate battle, but also the future of civilizations, alliances, and the very fabric of the Foundation universe. This awareness of consequence keeps viewers on edge, invested in every glance, every whispered command, and every strategic move by the end of this section. It becomes clear that the confrontation between day and darkness is not merely about light versus shadow. It is about human complexity, choices under pressure, and the collision of philosophies and emotions. The audience is invited to understand the stakes on a deeply personal level, gaining insight into why each character acts as they do, and why their motivations will determine the outcome of the impending clash. Every glance, step, and decision in this scene carries meaning. Setting the stage for the dramatic escalation to come in the next sections, the air crackles with tension as the first moves of confrontation ripple across the battlefield. Day's forces, organized and disciplined, hold their positions in a formation that radiates authority and control. Their ranks are precise, weapons aligned, strategies rehearsed, yet the calm exterior masks an undercurrent of anticipation. Each leader calculates the optimal moment to strike, aware that a single misstep could shatter their carefully constructed plans. Their posture conveys readiness, but within their minds, questions linger. Will their defenses hold? Will the enemy act predictably? Or will darkness exploit the smallest vulnerability? From the shadows, darkness begins to emerge in subtle, deliberate ways. Unlike the direct approach of day, these forces do not announce themselves with fanfare. Agents slip through hidden pathways, use the terrain to their advantage, and strike at isolated points, testing responses and measuring reactions. Their attacks are precise and intentional, designed not just to inflict damage, but to provoke confusion and hesitation. Darkness thrives in unpredictability, and in this opening phase, its effectiveness lies not in overwhelming force, but in psychological manipulation. The first exchanges occur almost silently, a clash of light and shadow rather than full-blown battle. Day's forces respond to sudden disruptions, a flare of energy here, a shadow darting there. Leaders shout commands that echo across the battlefield, coordinating movements and redirecting troops in response to unexpected maneuvers. Every action is mirrored by a counteraction, every step by day prompting a reaction from darkness. The tension is deliberate, slow, and calculated, creating a sense of suspense that grips the audience. In these early moments, the audience feels the precarious balance. One wrong move could trigger chaos. The scene emphasizes contrast, not only through actions but visually. Beams of sunlight strike the polished surfaces of day's formations, creating long reflections that shimmer and multiply, almost like signals or warnings. Darkness, by contrast, blends seamlessly with shadows. It's moving through darkened corridors, ruined structures, and natural cover. This visual duality reinforces the philosophical battle at play: light versus shadow, order versus chaos, predictability versus cunning. The audience sees not just the physical battle, but the embodiment of these abstract concepts through movement, positioning, and timing. Tactics become more complex as both sides test each other. Day's forces establish zones of control, using advanced technology to monitor movements, anticipate strikes, and maintain the integrity of their ranks. Every maneuver is disciplined, reflecting hours of training and strategic planning. Leaders direct subunits to respond to perceived threats, create buffers between vulnerable points, and exploit intelligence about enemy positions. The scene conveys that Day's power comes from organization, foresight, and a shared belief in structure and predictability. Darkness counters with flexibility and unpredictability. Agents act independently, improvising when opportunities arise and retreating when confronted. Their attacks are psychological as well as physical, unexpected ambushes. diversions, and feints designed to draw Day's forces into overreaction. Every sudden flare, every strategically placed obstacle, and every minor skirmish adds pressure to the structured ranks of Day, forcing leaders to reassess plans and make snap decisions. These moments heighten tension, showing that even the most disciplined forces are vulnerable to ingenuity and deception. Amid this tactical dance, the audience sees individual characters reacting to pressure. Leaders weigh risk against reward, soldiers respond to instinct versus training, and covert agents execute high-stakes maneuvers. The narrative conveys that victory will not come solely from brute force. It requires intelligence, intuition, and the ability to adapt under extreme stress. Every glance, hand movement, and strategic choice carries weight, emphasizing that this escalation is as much about mental acuity as physical prowess. The environment itself amplifies the escalation. Explosions of energy flare against reflective surfaces. Shadows stretch unnaturally as structures crumble, and debris whirls in turbulent winds. These visual cues reinforce the chaos and stakes of the scene. Sound, though subtle, heightens suspense, metal groaning under strain. Distant alarms and the faint hum of technology all signal the unfolding confrontation, even without a narrator explicitly stating the danger. The audience feels the imminent explosion of conflict as the escalation continues. The first major consequences of the clash become apparent. Day's forces experience small fractures in coordination, minor breaches in their ranks that hint at vulnerability. Darkness exploits these moments, intensifying pressure through surprise maneuvers, forcing leaders to divide attention between multiple threats. The scene communicates that the initial phase of conflict is never about total victory, is about probing weaknesses, testing resolve, and forcing the opponent into reactive positions. Simultaneously, the narrative highlights the stakes for each character. Success is not just survival, it is survival with purpose. Day's leaders must maintain authority and protect their people, even under stress. Darkness agents aim to destabilize, dominate, and seize opportunities that can shift the balance of power in their favor. The audience begins to sense that this clash is a crucible. Choices made now will define the outcome of the battle and reverberate far beyond this moment. The escalation culminates in a series of striking visual moments: light reflecting off strategic weapons, shadows merging to conceal movements, and sudden bursts of energy signaling the first major offensive. The audience feels the rising tension, the sense that the calm before the storm is over. The stage is set for full engagement, with both sides now fully aware of the other's presence and intentions. Every calculated move, every reaction, every subtle gesture signals the approach of a pivotal turning point in the narrative. By the end of this section, the audience has experienced the initial escalation of conflict from multiple angles: strategic, emotional, visual, and philosophical. Day's structured power and darkness, unpredictable cunning, are now in direct confrontation, setting the stage for dramatic revelations, twists, and pivotal turning points in the next sections. The tension has been built deliberately, ensuring that viewers are fully immersed, anticipating the explosive clash that will define the outcome of this critical scene. Just as the initial clash seems contained within predictable patterns, the first true turning point strikes. The audience realizes that what appeared to be a balanced confrontation is far more volatile. A subtle move by darkness shifts the entire dynamic, exploiting a hidden weakness in Day's formation. It begins not with a dramatic explosion, but with a quiet, almost imperceptible maneuver-an agent appearing where none was expected. A line of communication intercepted or a technological advantage used in a surprising way. The brilliance of this moment lies in its subtlety. It's a twist that the audience senses before fully comprehending, a quiet signal that the stakes have escalated beyond anticipation. This first twist immediately changes the tone of the confrontation. Day's structured force, previously confident and orderly, is now forced to respond reactively. Leaders issue rapid commands, subunits shift positions, and the previously stable formations begin to show cracks. The audience sees the psychological weight of this moment. Confidence gives way to uncertainty, Hesitation becomes as dangerous as an enemy attack. Every movement on the battlefield now carries amplified consequences, illustrating that in this galaxy, strategy alone cannot guarantee success. Darkness capitalizes on these initial disruptions, executing a coordinated series of maneuvers that are both daring and unexpected. Agents exploit the environment in creative ways, using shadows, terrain, and technology to strike at weak points. The timing is impeccable. While Day's forces are still adjusting to one disruption, another occurs elsewhere, compounding confusion. The audience is drawn into the chaos, feeling the tension of a battle where every second counts and every choice can have irreversible consequences. The next major turning point involves a critical character decision. A leader from Day, forced to weigh morality against survival, makes a controversial choice that changes the flow of the battle. Perhaps they hesitate to strike an opponent out of empathy. Or perhaps they prioritize strategic advantage over ethical considerations. Whatever the choice, it creates ripple effects. Allies are confused or challenged. Subordinates are forced to act independently, and darkness gains leverage from the momentary uncertainty. The narrative emphasizes that in this world, leadership is a double-edged sword, and decisions are rarely clear-cut. Simultaneously, darkness reveals a hidden strength or resource that the audience had not anticipated. It could be advanced technology, a hidden faction, or an unexpected betrayal within Day's ranks. The revelation acts as a catalyst, triggering rapid developments across the battlefield. Visual cues reinforce the twist. A sudden shift in light, unexpected shadows, or an ominous signal that something powerful has entered the conflict. These moments are cinematic and faceless friendly, allowing the audience to experience surprise and suspense through narration, sound, and imagery without needing direct visual focus on characters' faces. The twists continue as both sides adapt to the evolving situation. Day responds to the surprises with improvisation, attempting to regain control and stabilize formations. Darkness, already exploiting chaos, adjusts strategies in real time, demonstrating flexibility and cunning. The audience sees a dance of cause and effect, where every maneuver prompts a counter-move, and no side holds absolute dominance. The tension is amplified by the unpredictability of both environment and emotion, elements that neither side can fully control. One of the most pivotal moments occurs when an unexpected betrayal or revelation alters alliances. A figure previously aligned with Day may reveal hidden motives, or a member of Darkness may act independently in a way that neither side predicted. This twist shakes the audience's assumptions, forcing them to reconsider who can be trusted and what the ultimate outcome might be.